Hello, this is another one in the series of videos that I've been doing. This one's going to be for masters, and it'll work Second Life. Excuse me, it'll work BDSM or uh, Gore's masters. One of the things I discovered when I started out, I was in a BDSM sim that did a lot of training, probably one of the best out there. But the problem was even my mentors didn't know the use of a flogger and how to use the different stuff. They didn't know what tools. I had actually teach my mentor what tool to use, and they certainly did not know how to apply it. I was blessed. I had access to a lot of slaves and women that were willing to work with me and train me, tell me how to emote it, how to set it up. Now, the tool itself, I'm going to show you, no, they didn't train me. I had to go find that. But unless there's better, I'd be gladly to have you tell me. But this is actually, like I said, extremely well done. Now, why the use of whip? If you notice, I carry a whip at my side. My girls kid me about taking it off at the end of the night when I go to bed because it's attached to everything I have. And the reason's very, very simple. In Gore, the master always carried a whip for his slaves for a number of reasons. And let me read you the quotes for that. Starting, two Canuck guards stood over them. One carried a slave whip, and occasionally, should the cries of the girls grow too obtuse, he'd silence her with the lash. Nomads of Girl, Book 4, page 252. Again, I'm going to say this if you haven't heard me say it before. There are online books, electronic books, European books, abridged books. So when I say this is a regular paperback version, but if you have any of the others, the page numbers are varied, not the book itself. Quote, an an on the oar is usually more than sufficient to make the coldest and proudest of females an obedient, eager to please bondmaid. It is regarded second only to five-lash Gorian whip. Now, if you notice, there's two different types of whip. The men of Thorfat's land is called the whip of furs, on which the master, with this body, and conversely teaches a girl slavery. Marauders of Gore, Book 9, page 66. And lastly, at one side of my hand, I saw strips of cloth by which he might be bound, or she might be fashioned gags and blindfolds. Men, if you don't have gags and blindfolds, get them. It's very, very gory. I'm not going to deal with that today. There's only one blindfold I found that truly blindfolds the girls. In Second Life, most of them, the girls can pan around. There's actually a blindfold that if you put it on, they can't see anything. It will shut them down. So I would recommend that. And again, I'll do that on another tape, or I'll use it possibly for shibari. And yes, rope tying is done in gore. It's just not called shibari. Quote, to one-sided hand I saw strips of cloth by means of which you might be bound, or which might be fashioned gags and blindfolds. I saw two on their pegs, a long supple switch, a whip, a slave whip with these five broad blades, which we just talked about. Plunders of Gore, page 34, book 34, page 264. Now, let me get that out of the way. There are a couple of tools that I have in front of me that I'm going to demonstrate. And I'm going to first, for those who know my silent commands, um, actually in this case it won't apply. I'm going to ask my slave to stand. Well, actually the silent command for that is to put my palms down and lift it up in the air. And then she stands up. Now, YouTube has its limitations. Normally I would go ahead and strip her, and I'm going to show you how I do that. There's a tool over here. Let me show you what it's called. And it is called the NX Remote 2.1. You can get it at the Temple of the Collar, the place where you get the number 9 collar. Doggone, I forgot. But basically, it's where most people go to get collars um, if you don't get a regular one. But it's called the NX Remote. What it allows me to do, and I'll show it to you right now, with a click of a button, the picture of the girl pops up. Now, if I have 2 and 3 girls there, that becomes really convenient because all I have to do is start clicking and all 3 girls will rotate. Also, with the click of a button, her collar pops up. I don't have to wheel around and find it with my mouse. Okay? Now, there's several things I can do. Number one, I can actually take her clothes off, which we're not going to. If you look at number 3, that will take off that. Her kamisk is number 2, and her belt is number 1. So if I press 1, 2, and 3, one at a time, it strips her completely. Okay, so that is a nice feature to have. But number 2, see that RVL? It brings up folders. I want force set. So what I'm going to do is push that button. And if you look around, I have what's called a cross. And I need to get that recentered. I'm sorry. I have what's called a cross. And if you look over on this, my deal, Chesterfield Post, AK bondage. I said cross, I meant post, forgive me. And when I push this, she will go to it. I'm sorry, I'm having to rearrange things. There we go. To do this. And I need to change the way my viewer is working. Let me make sure. Yep. I prefer to emote it this way. Typing is off today. That's how I would do that. Now I'm not going to do that. That means I'd strip her, and I'm not going to strip her. But now this particular post has, there we go, does 2 things, and it's one of the best out there. It's the Chesterfield Post bond. You can see that. I can undress, I can release her. There's the stop. Time locks. I can put her on for a specific period of time. Men, by the way, a note in doing this, please don't walk away and leave your slave standing there for 30 minutes. Number 1, she'll fade to black, or she will get depressed. A lot of women have fear of abandonment. A lot of women, and that's something else before you get started, and I should have said that to start with. There's a couple of things you want to know about your slave. Yes, I know she's your slave. Yes, I know you're a gore, or even in BDSM. There's 2 things, a couple of things I want to know. Number 1, has she ever done this in real life? If she did, it's going to matter massively. You need to make sure you know your slave well. And by the way, that is a direct quote from Norman's books about knowing your slave and talking to her. You need to find out, because she did, she's going to experience this far differently than someone who never has. A girl just staring at a screen going, oh, look, he whipped me, there's no feeling. If the girl has had real life experience, and she's on here, and the master's good at emoting, she's going to feel it. Her memories are going to trigger, and studies have shown a chemical is released within her that will literally be a physical reaction. And even though it's Second Life, women do, in many cases, have emotional and physical reactions to what happens to them, especially if it's happened in real life. So find out before you do any of this, has your slave done this in real life? That becomes very, very important. Okay, I'm glad I got that out of the way. Moving on. Now, the other thing I'm going to show you about this post, and many of these girls have actually done this in real life. All the equipment in my room right here is exact duplicates of real life equipment. I actually saw an auction on Rail Line in real life equipment coming out of a club. It was a club that was closing. And I'm telling you, this thing and everything around my room, which I'm not going to show you today, was there. I mean, it was like a mere duplicate. So please understand that. Now, with this, if I do solo female, I have the option of, let's see, it's not what I'm looking for. It may be, one of the problems is I don't do this all the time. Let me show you what can happen. Back. She can hang in the air. She can go upside down. She can go like that, which is the position I want. And if you notice, it pulls her up in the air. And if you're using RLV, which is extremely important, it will actually show the chains. Okay. And if it doesn't, you have to put cuffs on them, and that can be done again through, and I'm not going to do that video again, but if you use the tool that I showed you, the NX remote, I can go in and actually attach cuffs to her with the push of a button. All right, so now a couple of things about this. I said make sure you know if she's real life or not. If she is, she will know, she will recognize the tool you're using, depending, and two, she will recognize the distance that you are. Now I have, let me turn this thing around. Good, it's working right. This particular tool, and I'm going to show you what it is in a second, is fantastic for a couple of reasons. It changes, if I want to need to show you my hands. There it is. See the paddle? Stock whip, scourge, cane, crop, hand. So I literally can change with a push of a button the tool that I'm using. And that is a big advantage. So, and I'm going to say something right now. A girl knows that you should start, a girl in real life, I know, you should always start with the lighter one. You know, if you want to apply a little pain, whack her ass for a little bit, use your hand, and I'll show you how that works on this tool. Then move up to the paddle, then move up to the flogger, which I actually have floggers in my tool chest, and then move up to the other ones, a whip or a scourge. But don't start out with a freaking whip and a scourge, because if a girl's in real life, the first thought's going to rush to her mind is, oh my God, he didn't warm me up. So start out low, work your way up to warm her up. Okay? Awesome. Distance is important. I'm going to use today that one, which most closely resembles what the Gorian books are. The Scourge is a multi-faceted. You can see there's more than one deal. And the Gorian books are a 5, but I don't think anybody sells. Okay, so what I want to do, the other issue is distance. I want to make sure I'm back just far enough that the tip of the whip only touches her back. And again, if the girl has a real life experience, she's going to look at that and say, wait a minute, what the hell? I would not use a blindfold on a whip. What good is it? Now, this particular tool is called Josh's Maximum Whip. It is worth it. I've already shown you it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways. But also I could select the stroke. I can go forehand, backhand, overhead, upshot, cross cross, which is actually my favorite, and tease, where you come up and tease the girl. So those are all the available ones. I am too far away. I don't know if the people in my audience recognize that. So what I want to do, there's a couple of things I noticed, and this is based off of my experience. When I line my viewer up, the whips always use the right hand. So when you line the girl up, she should be slightly, there are two things, and by the way, Second Life is not good at this. I preferably have my right hand. She needs to be lined up with my right hand. But here's the problem with Second Life is that when I try and move over one, it moves over. Oh, God bless it. It does a couple of things. Number one, it completely flipped myself. Let me turn around. And number two, it tends to take 3 steps, not one. And that makes it extremely, there, I think I got it. So let me go sideways again. Use these camera controls. If you're not used to it, use them. Now, let me take a look again. Forehand. Now, too far back. So I'm going to line my viewer up, which is extremely important. And look how I now have the girl with the right hand. Line it up. There. Not bad there. I need slightly more. Now I want to go back around and look again. And this sounds stupid, but remember, the girl's watching with you. And if she has, no, I'm way off. If she's watching with you, she's watching your distance. So what I normally do, I'm going to show you a trick I do. There is a thing called, let me find it in my deal, called footprints. There it is. No, that's not it. There it is. And it is called, you see edible standing for implements? This is the coolest thing since sliced bread. What it does is when I throw it down on the ground, it quite literally, let me go in and go on, there it is. It puts footprints. And what's cool is I can stand on those and it will line me up to the footprints on the ground. So guess what I do next? I take it, rotate it, there we can, and I can shove myself around. This is a hell of a lot better than doing what I was doing a second ago. And then back my ass up. See it? I can do it in this way. I'm going to recommend. I'm going to show you again what it is. Now, what I do a lot of times is I do this before the girl gets here. But this help works out well because you can see what I'm doing. And this is available on Marketplace, obviously. Now, when I check, oh, I can already tell I'm too damn close. Because watch. Whoops. I forgot I have this. So I'm going to back that up just a tad bit more. Move. Right about there. See how much easier that is? So I would say put down editable footprints. I was able to turn myself in the right direction. And these damn stand-up walk things, they don't do so well. So throw down editable footprints, stand on it, and then realign yourself. Let me turn this off, and let's try it. Real close. Let me look again. Nope, I want it closer. So I edit, move it in slightly, bingo, and I check both sides, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, one other thing that I didn't talk about, high and low. I need to press the high. Just a tad off. Okay, there's 2 problems wrong with this. That's why. I want you to listen to sounds when I do this. See it? There. I'm a tad bit back far. Again, you should be just enough where it's just barely touching her back. There it is. Now the other question I have is, what's it look like coming this way? Whoops. Let me take that off. There it is. So it doesn't matter how the girl has her viewer. You're definitely on target. And I love that footprints. I'm going to show you again what it's called. Right there. You want there, edible standing for implements. Editable standing for implements. A lot of times I go set this up before the girl gets there, at least close, and then come back in, jump on this sucker and begin. I once did 2 girls. I had one behind me, one in front of me, set the footprints up ahead of time, and then all I had to do was go from one to the other. It was like me turning around and starting the other girl. So it literally allows you to do that, where you can handle more than one and don't have to line your butt up using walk. We are ready to go. Now, I've already mentioned this is very much like the Goro in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see it. Notice on my controls I can do soft or hard. And does it matter? Yes. The sound is different. And there's an option where I can turn the volume up. Notice this 1 through 8. I would suggest in the beginning using like 3 and not make it so loud. When you get to the end of your whipping, do 10 and increase the volume. Okay? Again, you can put that in your emotes. Okay? The way I would do that was raises my hand back, puts my wrist further back, stretching my arm as far back as I can, and swing. Now, I usually tell the girl how many times I'm going to do it. Like I'll say 10 lashes or 10 spanks with the hand, 10 lashes with this whip, and then I'll switch it. And I do that on purpose because what I do as I emote, I start going 1 and I start literally typing it in so the girl can see it. Now that's my choice. You may not choose to. And that lets the girl know how many are left. And again, if she's going through psychological maneuvering because of real life, that's going to matter. Okay? So you want to let her know. Okay, some advice is also given to me. Describe how you're sweating when you do this. What's your palms feel like? What's your shoulder feel like? What are you doing? I mean, are you grunting or what are you doing? One other thing that I'm going to suggest on this, and it was suggested to me, again, this thing goes high or low. It does matter because you're talking about the difference between whipping her ass and whipping her shoulders. Soft or hard, oh, I didn't show you this. Rhythm. When you turn on rhythm and you do overhead, this thing starts automatically doing it. See? I didn't have to do anything. It automatically does it at the same pace, and the girl knows to expect it. But it only does it when rhythm's on. Otherwise, it will do 1 at a time. So that's a big deal right there. If you don't have Josh's maximum whip, you can do it manually. I have something called a tool chest. We'll give you the tools you need to do this manually without Josh's whip. And we'll literally put it into your, and let me show you what I'm talking about, since I wanted to make this a good guy. If I type in tool chest, there it is. Let me show you what this sucker looks like. I'm going to res it right here. If I have the right tag on. I may not. And I will, so let's flip this one. And let me show you the goodies that are in here that you might want to buy them from jail. Inside this tool chest is a box of goodies. And when you click, there it is. See what I just opened up when you click inside there? And when you walk closer, you can see all the tools hanging up. It has a cane, a flogger, gel haiichi, in case you're wondering what that is, it's a vibrator, a paddle, a riding clap, and left and right cuffs. Now when you click on those go into your inventory. So if you don't if you have at least Josh's maximum whip, you can also get a flogger, not just the ones that are in front of you. Or you can get a smaller paddle. Okay? Riding crop is also not in this. If you notice, riding crop is not in Josh's maximum whip. With this tool chest, you can actually get it. And the cuffs are so that you can see the chains coming down from the post. So a lot of cases you want to hand that to her. All of this goes into your inventory to use and to pass to your girl. So again, I've shown you 2 tools. I've actually shown you 4 tools to use. One other thing I want to do, I did not bring this up. Let me do it now. First of all, I'm going to remove the whip that I'm using. And I would emote takes my whip off. Whoops, came back. Oh, I'm sorry. In order to do that, use hand. There it is. And then what I'm going to do is get off and run around, post around, and gonna emote walks up to the girl. So type in there, walks up to my girl, and this was suggested by a slave. Inspect the girl. That is, whip her 5 times, 6 times, whatever. Go up and inspect her, make sure her back isn't messed up. Now, what am I looking for? She, in good role play, the girl, when you make an emote, the girl should make a emote back. I even wait. Okay? So I'll say 1, 2, 3. And then what I'm looking for as I do the whipping is the girl to reply back. Feels the whip hit my back. Surging heat. And I'm looking for her to, if she has real life experience, she'll start putting into her emotes about fear or panic, or she may even use a word to let you know to stop or say stop. But you need to come up, check her back, go back if you want to do more, which is your right as the Gorian master. But watch those emotes she's going to give you, because if she's putting in there that she's having a panic attack, she's going to get out of the situation anyway. She'll fade to black or something. And that's why it's important to know the girl before you pull this on her. This is just a suggestion, but I suggest you walk up, check her back before going back. And what's cool is, since I have those footprints, all I have to do is look down and go back on them. See, where are they? There they are. Step on them, and boom, I'm ready to rock her already. Okay? So that you're ready to go. And you just push the button, pick your tool, and go at it again. Automatically back. And that's pretty cool. I wanted to produce this video because too many men have not been taught even what I've shown you.
That's all, folks.